Hi everyone. We are waiting for 1 to 2 minutes. Let's share the joining link with your friends. And we will be starting in 2 minutes once we will be joined by the audience. Sorry, the mic was muted. Okay, so welcome everyone to the Design Development Days 2022. I am Prashant Pandey, founder of Designer and your host for today. Thank you so much for joining Design Development Days and also being a part of our journey. So before starting today's session, let me give a brief intro about Designer and Design Development Days to the ones who are new here today. Actually, Design is a community platform. Our mission and vision are to upskill the design personnel by helping them to learn and relearn from the scratch. We are empathizing the designers, and also we are making decisions and initiatives for the designers to provoke the effectiveness of the vision, and we empathize the designers and plan our resources accordingly. Design development days bring forth events, workshops, competitions, and which will be fruitful for both designers and the developers. With a flair of to keep learning the smallest new things. So this initiative by Designer has all the greatest perks for the beginners as well as those who are professionals. Okay, so let's start today's session, and we welcome Rushab Kataria to help us understand more about the user experience. Our theme for today's session is the Think UX. Uh, Think UX, the product, the voice of the product. Before handing this stage to the Rishabh, I want to give a brief intro about Rishabh. So Rishabh is a senior experienced designer and researcher at OnePlus. He enjoys ideation and conceptualization for delivering the finest experience. He uses his understanding of design and business strategy to provide experiences that help create an impact. He as a UX designer, strongly believes that doing research and scripting a process helps one achieve the goals faster. He is also a business experience consultant for a few startups and a design educator for a few universities, sharing his experience with the students and being inspired by them. Talking about his achievements, he is a winner of NASCOM Design for Good Award Healthcare, published research paper in Springer, Singapore, and jury for photography competition at Symbiosis International University and MIT WPU. He also gave a talk at Hyderabad Design Week and Lollipop Design Studios. So, without a further ado, welcome Rishabh to Design Development Days 22 by Designer. The stage is yours now.
Hey Prashant, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. Hello everybody. Uh, Thank you so much for being here today. Um, I promise you I'm not gonna bore you in the midweek vibes, and I'm just gonna just it'll be a pretty fresh and fun experience for all of us. So just give me one
Yes,
second. I'll just share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay, perfect. So basically, think UX in general, whenever we think of product, right, or whenever we think of user experience, we don't just think of digital. We should also think of something that can be a tangible and an intangible product. But today, when I say product, I'm very specifically going to be meaning a digital product. But a lot of terminologies are going to be same for both a digital or a tangible product. So when you see processes, you're going to feel like they are pretty similar on, like they are applicable on both digital as well as tangible products. So without any ado, just give me 1 second. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. So these are going to be our topics for discussion today. So basically, the first part we are just going to go through understanding about what exactly UX is. I'm pretty sure all of you have been through it a lot of times, and you've already heard what is UX, what is like everything about it. But I'll just brush up on it really quickly, and then we'll move to what exactly is product design. And when I say product design, I don't mean product design as a discipline, but very specifically a digital product design. And then we'll quickly understand what design thinking is and what exactly UX thinking means. And then we'll just go for the further part. So basically user experience, right? So by now, I guess you might have heard it all through the talk or probably read at a lot of places. But in very simpler terms, UX or user experience is how a user feels when they use a specific product or service. So let this be any product, any software, any application. It can be literally any uh, device, like probably the pencil on the iPad. So any of this, how and what the user exactly feels when they're using this particular product is nothing but the whole experience that encompasses it. So it also encompasses a variety of feelings, which also includes a lot of emotions, senses, and physical interaction with the product. So that's like a really quick brush up on the whole idea of user experience. Nowadays it's generally really like we put it into a very smaller gap of UX being um, very much into app or a software, but it is really a wider area range that we look at. So going ahead, product design. So like just to take you really quickly through the whole like understanding of it, we'll be talking more into product design, and I'll be taking you through quite a few examples. And I'll just talk a lot about OnePlus because OnePlus has as a product the operating system Oxygen OS is one of the most loved products right now in the market, or one of the most loved operating systems in the market. OnePlus as a product is also one of the like most preferred companies right now when it comes to Android. So a lot of examples I'll be picking up from OnePlus. So product design, to just give you a simpler idea of product design, is basically a process of identifying market opportunity where we clearly define the problem, what the problems in that particular thing are, and developing a proper solution for that particular problem. And in the end of it, we just validate the solutions with real users. So product design, in the most simpler terms, right? It is just to understand what exactly is the drawback of a particular area or particular thing or an item or a product, and just trying to create a complete more deeper understanding or deeper learning around it. So, an easier way to take you through product design is that product design is also based on a really popular framework called design thinking. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already learned or understood about design thinking back in the day, or like whenever you've been learning design thinking in general. So, product design is built on that particular framework, and it's just a human-centric approach. Uh, for innovation, and it also integrates needs of people, technological possibilities, and business requirements. So when we say design thinking, it's basically not just thinking about uh, how things are going to look aesthetically, but you also look at from business point of view. You also add up a lot of other thoughts to it as a product or as a particular like as a product, and think about it from all directions and not just a particular direction of design or development or business. So it's just basically collating all of these options together. Design thinking, to just like elaborate more upon it, is going to be, it is one of the most important parts of user experience design, because it helps to address changes in users environments and behaviors that may not be immediately apparent. So maybe like initially when you're looking at a user trying to use a particular product versus as you go ahead and as you try to test it with more people, it's just going to probably be really different for you. So it's just, like it helps us understand how the user changes the whole environment around and how they behave towards a particular product that we're trying to build. But once you understand this, right? Once you understand what exactly are, are these changes that are happening, or how exactly does it change from a person to person or the user to user, it's just a good news for both designers and users. Because for the company's bottom line, as designers continuously are researching, designing, and testing for improving the product, this just directly helps them understand things in more detailed format, and it just takes users to more of a easier understanding to all of the to what exactly is happening and how can they go ahead with the process. And always remember that design thinking, or in general any of the other options or any of the other technicalities that we learn in design, are not restricted to UI UX. You can actually take them and put them into any other form of design, and you can just like use it across industries. And it is actually, I guess, it is the most basic thing taught at multiple universities all around the world. So, like as to just take you through, like not just from education point of view, but even at OnePlus, at Samsung, at Google, design thinking is something that has been used pan industry as well. So it's just it's just something that helps us understand the problems a lot deeper, but at the same time also understand the users in detail too. So going ahead, now that you have some basic understanding of what exactly is user experience design, what is product design, and what is design thinking, there is something that is basically a mixture of all three of these. That's called user experience thinking. It's not a really carved technological term, but it's something that thrives on really basic principles of how design thinking collaborates with user experience, and how do you very specifically focus on user experience using design thinking. But in more simpler or more technical terms, right? UXP, or user experience thinking, is just a process module that supports an agile and human-centric approach of planning and executing digital or developmenting products in interdisciplinary teams, wherein basically you're not just collaborating with designers, or very specifically UX designers or UI designers. You're actually collaborating with multiple disciplinary users here. So you might be talking to BXDs, you might be talking to analysts, you might be talking to the developers, but you're not trying to understand how, or thinking about how exactly the product outcome are gonna come out like. So basically, to just like give you more simpler way of it, UX thinking is just a process module. So who does this exactly help you would be product managers, product owners, UX professionals, software developers, you, me, I guess everybody who is trying to be around the whole product industry. And this is not very restrictive to product. So this can be actually used for anything and anywhere, wherever you're trying to apply, like wherever you're trying to explore more about a problem or solutionize a few problems that you come across in day-to-day life. The type of way you need to surround it to build and nurture it into an actual working product is nothing but what user experience thinking is. It is not also restricted to adherence of fixed scheduled foregrounds, but it is more informed autonomous process. So this just helps us in interaction of achieving the technological abilities. So it may be aesthetic or developmental abilities, at the same time meeting the business goals. Because when you build product, you can't just think about how it would work or how it's going to look. There are a lot of other instances that are to be taken care of. So very major and important point is going to be the budget. You need to understand how good of a budget do you have to build that particular product, and can that product be built at a way smaller rate than that. So, like understanding the whole business and finance part of it, at the same time structuring the team in such an efficient way that you are not overspending or you're not underutilizing the whole capacity that you have for the team. So UXT or user experience thinking just helps you think about a particular product from a more upper hand view, and you just try to understand of how a product is gonna act like, how a product is gonna look like. At the same time, is this functionality gonna work while development? How much time does it take? Do we have open sources available for this? So is this basically a mixture of a lot of these items together, and is just a simpler way for designers and developers and product managers and business owners to understand how to plan out the whole design process, the development process, and the business process for the product that they're planning to build for. Also, when we talk about user experience thinking, UX is not considered as a subtask that could be outsourced to a single professional. When we talk about thinking, it's basically a lot of minds coming together, maybe from different departments, maybe from like different areas of expertise. They just come together, but they just come with a central mindset. And the basic mindset is to help designers, developers, product managers, and owners share common understanding and values for the goal of the agile product development process. And when I say product development, I don't technically mean coding of the product, but developing that idea into and building a product out of just a small idea or a use case that we were looking at is what the whole idea of development means here. So UX thinking is, you can just call it as a place where a lot of minds gather together and nurture an idea and think of it from all the aspects together to just build the most refined and economical product out of it. Also, this depends a lot of times on different company to company. So, there are bigger companies who can self fund and put in a lot of resources and finances into a small idea or a product idea that they have. But at the same time, if it's a startup trying to bootstrap, a lot of times financials need to be planned on. So that's where user experience thinking kicks in, and that's where the whole part of understanding how we can work together and use everybody's strong points, put it out, and just put everything at the correct spot and work it out ahead. And that's where user experience thinking actually helps in. User experience thinking also accelerates the approaches from classic human-centered design. Because here, when you're thinking about the whole product, you're going to think of it from user's point of view. You're going to think of it of how users are going to interact with it. Also, this also makes it applicable for agile context. So in a very simpler form, right? So when you're doing user experience thinking, you're just thinking about how the interaction is going to work, how exactly everything is going to fit into place, and how the product is going to be at the best of its output. So when you're doing all of this, UXT also releases some numerous methods and techniques, which are basically story maps. Something that I guess all of you might have heard, or even a lot of you might have even tried it in real life. It's not something really interesting. A story map, something that you build when you're trying to understand a pathway for the product that you're trying to build. So story maps is something that really give you a good idea of mapping the whole stories for your product, creating smaller instances for the product. Next is going to be creating quick personas. So personas are nothing but understanding the end user or the actual target audience that you have and creating a persona out of it. So all of these things are part of user experience thinking. Also, like a lot of times, a lot of people love to work backwards when they're doing UX thinking. Of if this is what the product we are expecting for, how do we go for it? So maybe they also understand the technical limitations, the design limitations, the abilities, team structures, and a lot of other stuff. And like another place is going to be this helps in maintaining a common target image in the group thought of the whole development process, basically development of the product. So a lot of times, when you're trying to, like create story maps with personas, you either work backward. These are all different ways of trying to use user experience thinking into building a product or developing an idea into a real tangible product. So we often do a lot of these ideas, and you might not know terminologies for it. So maybe like you might realize that, oh, we actually have been doing it, or I've actually learned it. You might just not know that this was a technical understanding term for it. So, that is majorly what UX thinking is. And UX thinking relies on five core areas. Really simple. One is going to be strategy, basically strategizing a plan, strategizing a complete plan for how the product would work, is going to look like, how users are going to interact with it, what platform would it be on, a lot of other strategies, right? Next is going to be analysis, analyzing all the strategies that you've made, analyzing everything, all the development, all the plans that you've made of how they're going to work out to be is nothing but the analysis. Then comes vision. Vision is nothing but how do you foresee the product to be like, probably, like in next 10 years, or maybe, like in like 6 months, depending on what type of process that you're using for developing or for working on this particular product. What exactly is going to be your vision and where is it that you want your product to be? That's where different phases are designed on. Then comes ideation. Once you know what phases you are at and how you want to milestone every point that your business or the product wants to reach, you just start ideating to reach that particular phase. So first ideation can be really small, as understanding on how exactly the product is gonna work like. So basically, a simple example here can be there is a feature called shelf on OnePlus. So just to understand how exactly Shelf is going to be like, we strategize on what exactly are the features that the users currently would want to have. How can we make something that is going to make the users, um, you know, have a second window or a simpler widget panel for their mobile phones? And that's how Shelf came out. The whole strategy for Shelf was to place it really beautifully on the whole user experience. If anybody who doesn't have a lot of idea into how Stealth is or what exactly Stealth is, on OnePlus operating system, if you just swipe from top right corner there and swipe down from there, there's something called as Stealth. And Stealth is nothing but collection of widgets and important smart AI built widgets that just come together and help user to take through a lot of activities, smaller things like probably booking cabs, connecting your phones, and like if you have a flight coming up, getting a quicker boarding pass. So this is basic idea of it. So the strategy was nothing but to place it really smartly in the current UX or the current UI of the whole phone, and not actually tampering with how the current whole system works, and not introducing a newer gesture or a new placement for it. So we just tried to play around with it really smartly. Analysis was nothing but to analyze what exactly is the user pattern and what exactly is required in the whole operating system that we currently have. And our main vision was to just give users a lot of information at a glance and not make them go deep down in the application. For example, the shelf can automatically fetch your airport ticket from your Gmail. So you don't actually need to go on in your files and check for the, like a particular document that you want, per se a ticket or even your COVID certificate. So a lot of those things was just getting information at glance. So that was major vision that we had. Ideation was the process where we sat down and we understood what were the different types of features, gestures available for it. What can be a better placement for it? How do we make it look easy at the same time less cluttered? So that is a lot of things of ideation go in the back end. Then you can go with paper and pen. We just go and sketch out ideas, and in the end comes implementation. Implementation would be the most important place where you basically understand or and finalize on how the whole flow for the whole process is going to be. So shelf as a unit of a product. Shelf is not a product on its own, but it's part of the product being operating system. So we just had to understand that we design something and develop something, but the implementation is not going to take off a lot of load on either design development or business. So keep things really simple and keeping the whole flow really smooth is what the whole idea is. These are just a few small, like core areas where UXP actually works in. And the whole gist of UXP is nothing but, it's mixture or it's more thoughtfulness given into design thinking from a UX point of view, where you keep business, design, development, and a lot of other aspects together on it. These basically are the five core areas, basically strategize, analyze, vision, ideate, and implementation. You see a lot of these are overlapping on each other because this is not a linear process. You can actually jump between different processes. The major reason being that Once you're strategizing, probably the strategies can change as you start with your vision, and a lot of other and a lot of like other elements and plans can keep on getting extended as you get into the process. So this is a simpler way to just show the five core areas that digital product development and user experience thinking relies on. So after after just going through all of it and after understanding all of this, how and why is user experience thinking really important, or why like why exactly is it important when you're thinking of product point of designing and developing a product? The most simpler way is going to be that a good UX design is just going to be a positive experience for the users, and this just helps if it is going to be a simpler way to fulfill their needs, nothing better. And if you actually have a really nice experience or a really good, the whole design that you've done, the experience design for the product is really good, the user automatically would feel really confident. And, it's just uh, going to give them a really happy path through it. And they're just going to feel really comfortable using the product. And it just creates that connection between the user and the product. Any successful product or service that can be either an application or a website or a software per se needs good UX design, because with a good UX design, the customer is always going to be satisfied, and ideally they would be loyal to your business. This is something that has happened with OnePlus. So they started as a really small startup back in 2014, and right now, if you see, they are one of the bigger players in the market, taking over one of the biggest brands businesses into them. This was not just because of the smart advertising, but also if you see, OnePlus operating system, that's the Oxygen OS, is one of the most loved operating systems in the market right now. The major reason being they've kept the users as the most important part there, and they've always listened to the users and what exactly is the requirement going to be in the market. They directly compete with some amazing operating systems of, probably you can say, Apple or even the Galaxy UI. So just taking and understanding what are the most loved features and how can we actually have making them better experience in the whole operating system that we build is what makes the whole product really great. And without having a great UX, right? I don't think so. If the experience or if the whole vibe of the product that you build is not going to satisfy the customer, they would not want to be associated with your brand or with the product that they are using, and they would want to look at alternatives. Without a good UX, users can become really frustrated. They would feel better with the product, and it just in the end takes down to the number of users using your product. So I guess when you look at it from a business point of view, having less users is not something that you would want to anticipate. So to have good user flow, to retain the existing customers and to just capture a bigger market, a good UX just helps the users come in and we can trap them in the whole beautiful experience that we are trying to provide them. As we go ahead, I would just like to take you through the processes. So here we'll be talking about two different processes. Um, One is going to be a product development process, wherein we think more about nurturing and building a product, and next is going to be of a design process. Both of these are going to be subjective processes, or the way we want to go for a product. It's never fixed or written anywhere. It's just the way you would like things to happen. It's just a smaller flow. And one thing is that it's never going to be linear. When you're trying to ideate for a product, when you're trying to understand and explore the whole opportunities and the verticals that the product can get to, it's just going to be really big. So one thing is that the processes that I tell you, there are probably going to be 10 other processes through it. But the whole gist or the whole flow for it is always going to be very similar to what exactly we are looking at. So before this, right, before we begin and before I take you through the whole processes, either design or product, it's just important to ask why to you and your team who's going to be building the product. Why is going to be the best friend when we're thinking of building and developing an idea or a product into the full-fledged actual, like working product. So why is always going to be something where just questioning it can actually put you through more verticals, and you can actually understand more details upon the ideas of everybody. And a lot of times everybody's why is different. To understand how these whys work is also really important. Having a vision or a north star also gives you purpose, and it also helps you define what exactly you are trying to build. So once you answer a lot of whys, you also need a vision, or you also need to foresee what exactly is it that we are trying to build. What exactly is it that we are trying to accomplish through through our design. So that is something that is really important. And one thing that is, I guess, really important, and generally this happens when we see smaller teams or startups. Too often, the team jump into development without even having a really good clarity on the final goal. I understand that final goals are always going to change, but having phase-wise goals, as we just discussed early on, is always going to help you understand what exactly is it that we want to achieve. And just like understanding what exactly we want is just going to create a really good path. But if we don't have a really clearly defined goal, it can just lead into a lot of products not exactly meeting the requirements of the users. So maybe you have a really good problem. But if you just jump into the process, if you just jump into developing it into a full-fledged product without inputting a lot of understanding of who you're building it for, why are you building it for, having better clarity of vision and goals that you want, it's just going to be a product that doesn't actually meet the expectations of the users or even the stakeholders for that sake. So something that these are a few things, right? So we need to understand before even starting a process or starting to plan a basic process or a product design cycle. So the process for product development, right? I'm just going to take you through a really small four-step process. We'll not really deep into it. I'll take you through what are the normal processes that we do when we are planning to build a feature of a product or actually the whole product itself. The whole process is always going to be different, but I guess somewhere the whole steps or the whole plan for it is always going to remain the same. So the first and the most important part is going to be product definition. It should always, this is the most important step. So the first step of overall process is basically defining what product you're trying to build. We just need to think of it more as a foundation of a building, or what is exactly the place where we want to start to build our building from. So it's just the most important part of the construction industry. At the same time, a very similar way, we need to understand why are we actually making the product, and what is the product that we are trying to build. This also represents a very crucial step for multiple reasons, but mainly it's also because you cannot build a product without understanding the context and its reason of existence. Once there is a clarity given to the stakeholders, the designers, the developers, once you define the product better, it just helps them think in the correct direction. If the product definition is not really directly made with the team, or the team doesn't talk about it in detail amongst themselves, there are always going to be assumptions that are going to be made. There are always going to be second thoughts on what exactly is definition of this product going to be made by the users or by the developers, product owners, or anybody in the business. So making the space, the most important for the particular sake. Because once you invest a lot into defining the product, it just gets a faster cycle after this. And this phase usually starts with quite a few meetings, discussions with designers, stakeholders, other team members who are on the product, and this just helps them define the scope of the product or scope of the product for that particular phase that they're trying to build. In this process, you just try to understand what are going to be the requirements. They gather insights about the goals that the company has. So these are the places where the stakeholders of the company try to sit and talk out what is it in that their expectations are going to be. And this is not only for product itself, but this is also for the entire business. So the business owners are always going to be a part of this discussion, wherein they also try to communicate the exact idea of how they define the product and what is it that is their understanding of the product. and the team sitting together. That's how, like you just try to brainstorm and just try to conclude on what exactly or how exactly would you like to define the how the product is, what the product is going to be. So yeah, that's the first step. That's basically product definition. Also, as we go ahead, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll just do a quick Q&A at the end. So yeah, we can just keep dropping any comments, any questions in the chat. So second part of the process is going to be research. Research, like once you understand what exactly this product is going to do, or once you understand how this product is going to work, research is going to be your core mission. Because now you know what you exactly know the questions that you're trying to solve answers for. Now you need to conduct research in order to delve deep into understanding the requirements for the question. Your user research is going to be the life and blood of the product. And the things that you need to discover underneath during the stages of the foundation is just going to be how the whole project turns out. Because in research, you just don't understand what exactly is happening in the market, but you also understand what exactly is it that the users want. There can be other parts wherein you also understand how and why are particular things required, if they are actually required or not. You can understand what exactly is happening by the competitors, if you have any, and what are the most loved features that they have. So a lot of things, a lot of questions are answered when you have a really good and strong research. The thing, the most dangerous thing that you can do as a designer is not challenging your assumptions. Because a lot of times as designers, we try to assume a lot of things, or we just try to assume quite a few things of the user might do this. But when you try to get into research, when you try to understand deep, you also understand why are they doing it and how can we solve it in a better way, or if there are alternatives to solve it in a better way. A good user research challenges all of your assumptions and is always gonna like give you a better result out of it, or just give you a better outcome for building a proper product. Um, so I'll just take you through some really popular and simple methods of UX research. One is going to be interviews. Um, Interviews are basically, there are a lot of types of interviews, but conducting interviews with the users, conducting interviews with the product owners, conducting interviews with the people who are already using the product. All of these are just going to give you some really amazing insights. You'll understand what exactly is it that they're struggling with. What are they looking for from your product? And also a lot of times face-to-face interviews are also preferred because you can gauge emotions through it. So emotions reveal a lot of information of what they feel, what they want, what they would like to have, what is it that they don't like. At the same time, you also see with what emotion is it that you're getting the answers from. If it's a face-to-face interview, it's really simpler to understand what exactly is the emotion that the user is answering the particular questions from. So that is going to be one of the methods that is pretty popular, and that is generally used in the industry as well. Next is going to be user or focus group. So this is basically a small intimate group of 3 to 5 target users, and you just have discussed attitudes, emotions, frustrations, and issues with the product. This is a place where you try to understand a lot of pain points from the user. This helps you in business. At the same time, it helps you in designing and developing a really interesting product. Because here you just try to here you don't just understand their frustration points, but you also understand the emotions. And a lot of times, emotion is going to be one of the most important factors that will help you design or define your product in a very beautiful way. And the third part is going to be surveys. Surveys are nothing but questionnaires that you put out into a larger crowd, and you just get answers from a really good number of people. And like there are just good findings, find out from user attitudes to a specific topic, with an additional benefit of receiving data as soon as they are done with survey. So this just helps us in converting really good data. But we also need to be careful of designing the questions in a very particular manner, that these are not leading questions, these are not really direct, or these are not questions that can be misinterpreted. because that's the place where the whole research wouldn't make sense, and it would just go to waste for the whole study that you're trying to conduct, because there can be a bias that will be created amongst the users when they are trying to go through the whole survey that they're creating. I just brushed upon the whole method because going deep, these are really big, interesting topics, very similar, very interlinked to each other. But something that I would really suggest for all of you to understand more on, because just creating surveys or interviews is not just a really small part of it. It also has a larger impact on situations like how exactly are the questions defined, what are the attributes that we are trying to get out of it, then how direct or indirect the questions are, how open source questions do we have, does the question have a bias. So there are a lot of factors that affect um all of the processes or all the research methodologies. So I would suggest you all to, just understand uh, this in a better way, and just, to read more upon it, which will just help us create some beautiful products. And the third step here is going to be ideate and test. So when you ideate and test, right? So this is just another place where you have more clarity on problems being solved and the user needs. The next phase, this is more of the most UX design and creative phase, where you just sit and ideate the possibilities that you have. You just sit and ideate upon how the product is going to look like, what is the feel that we want, um, and the whole user experience process is generating different possible solutions for the problems that we have, which directly also meet the business needs. And the users would not want to, like, also it should be technically feasible. So it does come with a lot of restrictions, but this is the most fun phase. This is the place where you can explore, you can put out a lot of ideas and plan into it. And you can use sketching, you can use, wireframing, it can be smaller stories. So ideation is never restrictive in that particular manner. So this process would be covering some really, like faster approaches where you just, have quick wireframes designed, which are not developed but still tried and tested on users. In this phase, also the transition of building a product may begin, because if the ideations and if the output look really good, and when you're testing, things look really the way they were expected to turn out to be, it just also can be converted into a full-fledged product. So this is one of the processes which is really um, a changer when you're actually designing a product. The must-haves are going to be, a volume of low-fidelity ideas on paper and whiteboard. So how many ever softwares you would have, nothing would ever take away the emotion and the whole plan that you can make on papers and whiteboard. Next is going to be testing concepts with users, even if gorilla style. Testing is always important because it also helps you to be on the correct path, and it's also going to tell you if everything that you've done until now is workable, usable, doable, a lot of those questions, and is going to help you build something that's better than what you already have. And third is confidence that usability issues have been eliminated. So if there are any usability issues that we find in this particular stage, we should try to, eliminate them and build things that are better than what we already have. And fourth is going to be, the closing. So once the team or the whole UX designers are confident that the proposed solution will work for the users, and it is going to solve the problem that we are trying to understand. At the same time, the business is really happy with the whole matrix that we get. The product transition can get into a build mode, and then we can actually plan to launch it. For us as UX designers, this can involve producing assets for development team, or working on it with visual designers and creating the whole style guide for it, creating components for it, so that the whole process is smoother. It is basically involved during the implementation phase, to ensure that design intent is being carried out throughout the final product. Because once you iterate and once you have the final solution, and once the design team is really confident on whatever is been designed is going to work out really well, it's the place where you actually convert it into a product, or you just convert it into the actual product and you can push it towards the actual final phase. I'll just quickly take you through the design process. This is something that we all of us have studied and all of us understand about. So problem and solution. So just by listening to the problem and getting down to solutions is just something a big no to. I guess that this is the most simple way, right? So just understanding a problem and trying to solutionize it is never going to be the most perfect solution. But we need to understand who is it that we're designing for. That's the persona. What exactly is the problem? Then we need to strategize. We need to objectify. We need to understand the features, and then we go to the solution. Persona is basically who exactly is it that is facing this particular problem. Next is going to be what exactly is the problem that we just discussed, right? So the first thing is going to be what is the product, what is the problem that we have. Strategy is basically how would we solve the problem and the process that we would need to solve the problem. Third, fourth is going to be objective. What will the solution achieve? If you notice, this is very similar to everything that we've discussed until now. Everything, design thinking, product design, UX design, all of this just together come out to become a small process. And it's just, going to help you build a really simple and a really nice, effective product. Next comes features. So what are the features that are required? As we understood from the product process early on, right? So the features are nothing but something that is really simpler to accomplish. Then comes solution. What will the product look like and how will it function? This is exactly the final stage that we just understood in the whole product development process. So they both basically are really similar to each other. It's just that one is looked from a really bigger point of eye, and this is very specific to how the whole UX and the whole design strategy team would be working together in order to reach out to the final solution. With this, we just come to the end of the whole planning and understanding what exactly the process for building a product, designing a product, or developing an idea into a actual working product takes us to. And there are the basic takeaways for us are gonna be it's not a linear process. I have taken you through it before this, but I want to just put it again. While we want a very structured and a linear design process, the reality is that you find yourself jumping back and forth and learn more about problems. Probably initially you just try to understand that this exactly was the problem, but as you go deep into the research and into the product cycle, you realize this is not actually the core problem. There are other things that are affecting these things. So, you always go back to the first process. It's not that once you're done ideating, you're not going to go back to it. Or once the research phase is completed, you move on to the design phase. It's never going to be like that. Things always overlap, as we saw in the diagram that I showed initially. It's always going to be an overlap process where you just go back and forth and, just create that particular beautiful product out of the whole processes that we try to go for. Next is going to be there's no one size that fits all. The product design process should morph to fit the product. So like a lot of processes that we just discussed might not exactly be working for all the products or all the ideas that are out in the market. Your design process will depend on the stage of the product development life cycle that the product or the feature is at. As I discussed some time back, right? So for building Shelf as a product at OnePlus, it was way different than building a completely basic product from scratch because Shelf had a baseline of operating system or Oxygen OS, wherein a stretch idea is never going to have that. You need to understand what exactly is the phase that you would want to use to be very effective and efficient in the whole processes that we have. Next is going to be it's a never ending process. Continual improvement is one of the most core things that we need to do. So keeping refining and improving your product. Once the product has been shipped, it's not actually been finished. We can never assume that it's finished because there are always going to be bugs, there are always going to be feedback, there are always going to be improvement that just put us into this loop. Like we get patch versions for operating systems, we can get multiple different versions put out. So there can be a lot of things that can be for um, and like minor bug fixes. There can be a lot with some patch fixes. So building a product, the whole environment of thinking UX in a product is going to be a never-ending process. And finally, the most important thing I would want you to remember is when designing products is that we are designing products for people to use. We can't just build products that are difficult to use but really aesthetic, or absolutely not aesthetic but really simple. We need to understand who we are designing for, what are going to be their needs, and how can we make everything really beautiful. Like it can just transform into societies, how they think, behave, and interact with our product. And my suggestion for all of you is going to be you should go and watch, if you've not already, a TV series called The Social Dilemma. It just shows how beautifully a product can interact with the users. Yeah. Thank you so much. I guess that's me. That, and I guess we can go ahead for questions if you would have any.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So like this was a very insightful session, and
Thank you so much.
I hope the audience has understood very much. So we have few questions, few common questions about the UX beforehand. So let's take 2 to 3 questions here. So, sir, what is the core difference between like UX and UI? People are relating UX and UI is the one thing, but is it different or is it
Okay.
one?
Okay. So I guess these terms have been stitched together lately, and UX and UI are for sure not similar. They are really two different processes that combine together, that work together to build something that is one, maybe a product or a website or anything. UX is, so to give you an easier way, UX is going to be, as I told you, it is more of researching, strategizing, building a base or a layout um, for the whole product or anything, any output that we are looking for. So, basic wireframes, or you can even call this as blueprint for building a system is what UX is going to be. And UI is just, making things more aesthetic, making them more understandable, understanding. So there is something called as color contrast. So understanding if the colors that we are using are going to be compatible for anybody who's colorblind. So, it's just really they interact together really well, but they for sure are two different terms, meaning, and they have a complete two different meanings to it. So yes, it is used together because it is basically a process starting with UX, ending with UI, and not very different from each other, but they are for sure different from uh, they're really different terminologies altogether.
Yeah.
I
So, sir,
I
is
guess
there?
this is a sorry, I guess this is going to be a really different session to have, right? So I guess I would just say that always read and understand about what exactly are going to be basic differences between UI and UX. But yes, please don't try to think that it is a very similar term. They both are really vast, really diverse from each other. But right now, yes, I understand that a lot of places you would be thinking of them as a particular one term. So yeah.
Yes, sir. So, sir, moving ahead, is there any roadmap to
Mhm.
become a UX designer?
Roadmap for becoming a UX designer. So it's always going to be, like if you really want to gain knowledge, there are a lot of open sources available. Google has an open source course. There are a lot of courses available on LinkedIn. If you already have a bachelor's, you can go for masters in UX. But it's going to be more to understand before getting into UX is what exactly is the output that you want out of learning UX, because a lot of times it's not education, it's not your degrees, it's your portfolio that's going to speak out. So if you're really interested into UX, and if you have a really strong portfolio and understanding of technical terms, is going to be great. There's no such roadmap. I guess when it comes to design, it's very subjective and it's going to be your own different path for everybody. But my suggestion is always going to be to do a good master's degree, or probably if you're into bachelor's, and you can take up a bachelor's UX course. A lot of colleges are offering them now. So that is a really good part to get into it, because within those 4 years of bachelor's or 2 years of master's, you do go deep in a lot of topics, unlike 6 months or 6 week courses that are offered online. So just learn thorough, dig deep, read more. UX and UI is always gonna keep changing. We have folding phones today. You never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So there are no fixed terminologies. It's nothing like, a written code. It's always going to keep changing. So you just need to be updated to become a better designer every day.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is the future of UX? Like, is there any opportunities or like the UX
Wow.
will grow furthermore?
So UX has always been there. So, like I would never say that there is never going to be an end to UX. Till the date we create products, UX is always going to be alive. It's going to be in different formats now. So, like as easy as it is that UX was always there from building a mug. How because you couldn't hold the mug when it was hot, a handle was put on it. It is nothing but basic user experience for the mug. So you are always gonna find multiple ways to it. So UX and UI, both of them are, like never ending. It's just the ways that you interact with things are gonna change. So today, the whole user experience that we are building can be for a virtual space. Tomorrow, it can be for an actual, like a translucent space. So a lot of spaces, a lot of things here, right? So it's never ending. But yes, the streams or the ways that we consume or think of UX is for sure always going to evolve as we go ahead. And technically or very digitally speaking, as the digitally or technologically we advance into it, there are different forms and mediums of using and consuming technology and media is going to come in. It's just going to keep growing. So it's not an end ever for UX, but yes, the way that we look for it would always grow with the tech.
Yes, sir. So, sir, any last advice for the design-centric youth of India?
I would just say that don't be scared, just keep exploring. uh, have your own true identity. When it comes to design, there are no restrictions, but there are always going to be a lot of pointers that you can take. There are no fixed processes, there are no fixed definitions for anything. You can always build out your own way. You can carve a really good efficient way for yourself. So yeah, just keep exploring and don't restrict yourself through anything in general. Like, I guess that is going to be the most easy advice is keep exploring in any field, read more, and just gauge what's happening, in and around you, and what are the futures going to be. So let it be NFTs, let it be crypto, let it be metaverse. Just try to understand and read more into it. So you're always going to be, like growing as a designer.
Yes, sir. So, thank you, sir. We are like ending this
Thank
session
you,
here
Prashant.
only. And we have shared
Perfect. Thank you.
your LinkedIn ID in the comment section. So, the audience can connect with sir or with the LinkedIn ID. So, thank you so much, sir, for giving your precious time to us and helping us to learn about more about the UX things. And we are looking forward to hosting you again sometime.
Thank you, Prashant. For sure, man. For sure. Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been really great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Keep doing this. It's really important. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Have a
sir.
good evening.
So moving ahead, we have Arun Prakash sir on backstage, but we are waiting 1 to 2 minutes. Uh, so we will be again back in 2 minutes. Welcome back everyone to Design Development Days 22. This will be now a talk on Metaverse, a dream to the virtual world. So, welcome back. Before moving ahead, let me introduce the founder of Guvi, Arun Prakash, sir. Arun Prakash is the CEO and the founder of Guvi, and he holds his UG in the BTech in information technology. He started his professional career with Honeywell Aerospace as a technical lead, SSC at KLA Tenker, Semiconductor Automation, and Kaleido Data Warehousing, Risk and Analytics in PayPal, and Semantic Partner Engineering. With about 15 years of industry experience, he focuses on the technology behind the Guvi platform. His technical knowledge shared through YouTube channel Share for Guvi and Reach to Arun Prakash has reached more than 2 million viewers and his content has been inspirational for many. He has recently recognized as youth icon in IYONS International Summit. Also, he is the winner of Action for India Silicon Valley Change. With this, let's welcome Arun Prakash sir to the Design Development Days 22 by Designer for a talk on Metaverse, a dream to the virtual world. Welcome, sir.
Thank you all. Sorry for rushing in. Like actually, I was in another meeting. Have to jump from there to here. Okay. So,
No issues.
see, before starting the session, I want to understand few things. One is about the audience. So, who are the audience, and if they have any questions, they can drop in the chat so that I can understand that. Based on that, I can proceed the talks further. Because the
Yes.
metaverse can be done in 5 minutes or even in 15 minutes. Okay, for the audience. So that is the first thing. If you can tell about little bit about the audience, Prashant, it will be better for me.
Yes, sir. So our audience will be the students from the universities.
Mm.
Majority are from the third and fourth year also.
Okay.
These are the designers and the developers, like the tech and the design-centric people.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yes, sir. So,
Yeah.
sir, at first, please share some more about you and your company, Guvi.
Sure, I'll do that. Okay. To as Prashant was saying, like I have around 15 plus years of experience. I'm more of a tech geek than a CEO role. The CEO role is kind of a forced load which I have to take it up because of certain things. Because I run a startup, I have to do that. Or else, like if given a choice, I always stick to the tech because of two reasons. One is you don't need to interact with much people, and being a introvert, that helps you a lot in saving your space. Okay. And one of the other things which I love about technology is like you can impact many people's life, okay, with the
Yes, sir.
touch. Okay. And that is the beauty of the technology, and I love that till date. Okay, that is another reason why I love technology to the core depth. Okay. So the to start with, like I started with the my career in Honeywell Aerospace. So when I started with I was kind of it is like I know little bit on programming. When I say little bit, I have spent around 3 years in C programming alone. That is how I started when I was in college. This is way back, long back. But I was not exposed to any other technology access. Okay. And I didn't come from a metro or a tier one city. I come from a tier two city. So the naturally the exposure towards the industry or the technology is naturally limited by the environment. Okay, even your communication, everything is restricted to a certain thing. So from there, I started exploring myself. Okay, a lot more because of technology. I just got a lot of good connections and friends through which I moved in. To simply say with, like for example, when I was in college, I was a biomath student. Okay, in Tamil Nadu
Yes,
we
sir.
have that model. Okay, so when you are in biomath, the natural and I got into computer science engineering. I mean, information technology, which is computer science in college. So the natural behavior of, or the natural in thought process of any biology student is like, if I go into first year into computer science, all of them know computers. Only I am the person who doesn't know computer. Okay. So you're scared to first you're scared to death. Okay. So I was one among that crowd, scared people. And to my agony, one of my friend who was from computer science, he used to tell lot of stories about computer science, so which added nightmares to me. But at the same time, one of my friend who was from a non-computer science background, he taught me, and he said that for learning computer science, you don't need a laptop or system. So that was a shocking revelation at the time, how somebody can learn programming without having computers. So that is where he told, like, for understanding concepts and programming, you don't need any technology. You need to think like technology. Okay, for example, you have to act like a compiler. So he asked me to write the code in the paper, and the first few weeks he was the compiler for me. He used to correct it, and over a period of time he taught me, like, I am bored, Arun, it's your job, you start fixing on your own. That is how I learned programming. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying here is, like, a lot of the people have inhibitions towards getting into the programming. Even if you are from computer science or non-computer science, like you might be from electronic batch, electronics, communication, or mechanical. So the challenge or the mind block you will get is, like, I didn't learn computer science, so I may not be good at computer science. So that is a natural mind block you will get it. But if you remove that, you can do a lot of things. For example, how I got help from my friend. So if you are able to find one good friend, so you can do a lot more things, especially in the modern world. uh, the reason for emphasizing this is, like, so if you are from a mechanical or electrical background, so you are naturally good in design. So when I design, you might be thinking your thought process is complete towards design and architecture of the things, or interconnectivity of things. Okay, you are way better than a computer science programming in terms of creativity. Okay, because your subjects teach us that. So design, engineering, drawing, or whatever it is, it teaches you, and that will be very, very helpful in the modern world. When I say modern world, so today's the metaverse world, that would be the next big thing which you are having it. So I'll start with the story of one of the kids in metaverse, so that you will also
Sure.
understand better. Okay, so through my friend, I got to understand one small kid, 16-year-old kid in New York. He earns around $20,000 per month. Okay, what he does is, he
Yes.
doesn't know coding. Okay, all he does is, like, he try to design things, so like 3D buildings and other things in a metaverse, and he sells in the metaverse. For designing and selling, he charges around $1,500. Okay, which is like
Yes.
you design in AutoCAD or any other stuff. Okay, so he designs it and he sells it, and that has become one of the that is becoming one of the modern, or the job styles. Okay, so if you want to get into the modern world, you don't need to be a geek. Okay, the world, you need to be a what is it, designer or a creator. Okay, like how in the social media world you can be an influencer, right? So a lot of influencers gain money, or a lot of even gamers, okay, they stream their gaming gameplays and then they get money, right? The same way in the metaverse world. Metaverse is nothing but a virtual world. If you are familiar with the movie Ready Player One, okay, that is too
Yes. Yes.
exaggerated, so you don't need to go to that level. Okay, so it is like a virtual world. So how you go and play a game, so instead of in a typical gameplay in any games, so you will be only a consumer. Okay, so what I mean by consumer is, you go and buy some ammunitions, or you go and buy some suits, or the stuffs in the game, which you pay fiat currency and then get it. When I say fiat currency, any country's currency, and get the things. So if you want to buy a car, you buy a car, or that's how the current gameplays are there. But in metaverse, the same thing would be there. But the other option is, like, you can be a creator on this as well. You can design your car and sell a car. You can design your costumes and sell a costume. Okay, and beyond that, like, the metaverse is kind of a virtual world where you can also be a politician there. So that looks like a very odd stuff. Okay, so how can I be a politician there? In that, it's like most of the metaverse are kind of community driven. Okay, there are something which is company driven. For example, if Facebook comes in, it will be mostly company driven. But there are other metaverse like Sandbox and other things which is community driven. So in that, they elect community members, which is nothing but current day politicians. Okay, in the virtual
Yes.
world, they have more influence, all the politicians. In the modern world or the meta world, you can be a influencer, and for making any decision, you can give your suggestion and then get paid for it as well, because you are shaping up the world. So as an influencer, you can earn tokens for it. So there is a concept called DAO, okay, decentralized organization, okay, which is like
Yes, sir.
let's say a group of people combined together from different parts of the world, and then they make a decision and they contribute some activity. For example, you can be a coder in that company, or you can be a designer in the company, like how UI UX was there, or you can be a tester in the company, or you can be a content creator in that company, which is like a not a company which is a physical company. It could be a distributed virtual company, and for every task you do it, you will get a virtual tokens. Okay, that token can be sold against the fiat currency, or it can be translated into a virtual currencies like a cryptocurrency, like either ETH or Bitcoin. So those kind of things can be done. So these are the modern or the next set of things which is available for the current youth. Okay, so if
Yes, sir.
I'm running Guvi is mostly the decisions are done by few people. Okay, what if I can run Guvi without Arun Prakash there, and a group of people who can decide it and do it? Okay, that is the DAO. Okay, so in the DAO world, you can influence the decisions, and and also you can take the task. So based on the task, you earn money. So that way you can be influencer in the metaverse or any DAO system, and you can be, I mean, that's what I equalize to the politician world. Okay, so you can be a politician in making the decisions for that metaverse, and you can construct or you can destruct whatever it is inside the metaverse, and then you can move on. So this is one of the modern things which would be beneficial for a lot of non-tech people. Till now, whatever I spoke is nothing to do with the technology. So you don't
Yes,
need
sir.
to understand anything about technology. You can be a zero technology buff. Okay, you don't need to understand the word what is a metaverse, what is a blockchain, what is cryptocurrency. All you need to know is how to use cryptocurrency, how to use metaverse. Okay, how to design something in metaverse. If you are able to use your consuming skills with the creativity, you can earn money from that. Okay, so a lot of things are out there. Okay, so that you can do it. So this is about what I'm going to talk in the next few minutes, or probably 10 to 20 minutes. So before getting into that, I'll discuss a little bit about Guvi, as Prashant said. So Guvi is a
Yes, sir.
learning platform where somebody can come and learn in Guvi. Okay, so we have courses in native languages, so you can learn in your mother tongue. So here also we are looking for contributors. So as I said in the DAO, so even in Guvi, we want to build the community. So if you are good in some technology, or even you don't need to be good in technology. So if you are good in with your voice and your native language, we welcome the voiceover people. So you can come and take the content and understand it as a tech guy, and then give a voiceover. So I might my mother tongue is Tamil, so I may not know Hindi or Marathi. Okay, somebody might be mother tongue might be Marathi or Assami. They can come and contribute in Guvi and then get paid for it. Okay, as a student or as a contributor. So this is what we are building it. And not only that, you can as I said in the metaverse, so in Guvi also we have a lot of activities which can be done. You can be a content creator, you can be designer, who can reach out to us, and based on that we can help you out. This is one part of it. The second part is like we also do a lot of live classes. When I say live classes, technology live classes, like full stack development, data science, UI UX, we are starting it recently, automation testing, and we want to plan to launch a course on metaverse as well. So metaverse architect course which we are going to launch it. And so for that we'll be partnering with one of the what is it NFT players, one of the big NFT players. So it is in the process. Once we sign up with the agreement with them, we'll launch with that, so that you will get certified with the NFT company, and then you can be a contributor in the NFT company, like that. So these are the activities which we do it. And obviously the byproduct of this learning is getting a job or getting a gig, which is like a micro task. So both the things can be done, and these are the things which we do it in Guvi. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
okay, enough about Guvi. Getting back into the metaverse, so let's understand the questions related to metaverse. What are the questions you guys will have it related to metaverse? I'll wait for it. Like,
Yes, sir. So, sir, like you being a tech guy and you being in the so many companies as a tech role, so how do you see our future in terms of technology?
okay, the first, it's a very good question actually. So in future, everything is going to be driven by technology. Okay, no
Yes,
matter
sir.
whether we like it or not, that's how it is going on. So though we have a physical world, so the younger generation guys like you will prefer online. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
everybody lives in Instagram. Okay, so they want friends in Instagram. I have a kid, so he prefers friends in Fortnite. He has friends from South Korea, so he talks to them like he's a like a 5 year fifth grade kid. So he talks to that guy than the guy who's sitting next door to him. So I am going and scolding him, go and play with the friends in the street rather than in the game. But his choice of activities is more online. Okay, when
Yes,
as a consumer you are consuming online, we don't have a choice as a producer. We have to do that. Okay, our job is to help you or serve you. That is the way it is. So in that aspect, so everything is going to be tech driven, no matter whether it is education or gaming or banking or food. So right now I mean everybody orders food with the food apps. So we are, I mean they are actually helping I mean they are actually feeding our laziness, not the stomach. Okay,
yes,
they are
sir.
actually feeding the laziness. Okay, so that way like so technology is getting involved or invoked in every other activity which we do it. Okay, so except cheating right now every other thing is technology driven. Okay, so that way technology is going to be a big driver. So in that there are different levels of technology influence. So there are some people who are like a tech platform creators or the tech based creators. That is one set of people. And second set of the people is uh, tech based what is that accessories creator or the system creators. Okay, for example in metaverse you can create a house in metaverse, or you can, for example in old school, if you go to the old school, the first would be like you might be a Apple or Google, who you give a programming language and a platform. Okay, and the second one is the app creators who creates apps using that language or the platform. And the third part is the consumer part. So the same applies in the current world as well, in the metaverse world, or even the whatever you want to call the virtual world. So there will be one guys who will be creating the base technology, second guys who are the creators or the contributors to the technology, third guys are the consumers. Okay, in the current world we are only consumers, we are not into the first two parts mostly. Majority is not us. So in the metaverse world we have an option to be in system 1 or system 2 also. Okay, moving from in a gaming place, you are just a gamer, you play the game and showcase the game and earn money. So what if you can do the role play in the game or create a activity in the game? Okay, for example if you are familiar with the Roblox, there is a game platform called Roblox where you can create
Yes, sir.
games. So that is one good example for contributor. Like you can create your own game without having much knowledge in the gaming industry. So you don't need to be a pretty big game programmer. Okay, typically game programming is considered as one of the toughest thing. So in Roblox you don't need to be, because all the assets are given automatically. You need to customize the assets and start doing it. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
one of the I mean you can go and check the YouTube. There is a girl who's around 18 or 20 years old. She started playing the games and then now she is one of the game creator in Roblox. Okay, like that you can do it. So which means that the technology is inevitable, even if you like it or not, even if you hate it, you don't have a choice. That is going to be the future of the world. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, sir, moving ahead, what is metaverse according to you? Like, is this really a dream to the virtual world?
Yes, it is. Metaverse is kind of I mean already metaverse is there with us. For example, if you are a Instagram user, you are already into metaverse. The reason why I'm saying already into metaverse is like you interact with more of your friends in terms of pictures. It's a 2D metaverse, I would say. Okay, so you
Yes, sir.
like, people would be happy. Okay, yeah, you share your photo seeing that, you will be happy. Okay, you comment and you argue, you fight, all those things are, all the emotions are driven by these social platforms. Okay, the same thing, what if you take it to one level extra? So that is the metaverse. Like so in future this would be the key thing where you can interact with a lot of people, controlling your own data. So in Instagram, your data privacy is controlled mostly by Facebook. Okay, or whatever they want to share,
Yes, sir.
whatever they want to leak, it's their choice. Okay, in metaverse, you have the control, so you can be whatever it is. For example, one of the suggestion which is given by the metaverse contributors, like, what if I can create a bubble around me? Okay, so virtual bubble. Okay, I'll be protected automatically, naturally. Okay, I mean, in the metaverse world. So if you're a girl or if
Yes.
you're a guy, whatever it is, so that bubble will be your shield, and nobody can come and interact with you, or no, nobody come and tamper with you. In this case, it's like a, instead of hurting, they're tampering. So the tampering is not possible. So that way, the metaverse is going to
Yes,
be
sir.
the future of it. And I'm seeing a lot of kids currently moving into the world. So to give a same example, like one of we had a cat. Okay, for my son, I got a small cat, and for some reason, the cat died. So it got bitten by the nearby dogs, and then it died. So I asked him, like, my son was crying. After that, I was asking him, like, hey, can I get you a new cat? He said, no, dad, I don't want a new cat. I got a cat in Adopt Me, where I have 52 pets. Okay, so I can go and pet there, and I can have a dragon or something like that, and then I can share it with my friends. So he started moving from the real world, having pets, to the virtual world having pets, and he is trading that. So he is talking about. So I traded for like a 1 million. I said, what the fuck? Like, the word 1 million is new to me. For you at this age, like, trading for 1 million is a normal thing. And he has like a bit in the same thing. He has a Bitcoin mining game. Okay, where he mines and then he shares it. Okay, Bitcoins. So those kind of things are natural in the next generation. So probably my generation or your generation is more towards 2D virtual world. Okay, they are into the 3D virtual world, and they enjoy that as well.
Yes, sir. So, sir, why is the metaverse such a revolutionary concept?
No, it was not a revolutionary concept, but two things which was important in this is like, so one is democratization. Okay, so democratization, what I mean by is, like, the data is not data, or the system is not controlled by a single entity, which is like a single company. Okay, in metaverse, it could be in the it could generally it stays in any, most of the time it stays in a blockchain. And the blockchain is not, it doesn't need to be controlled by one entity or one set of companies. Okay, how Bitcoin is there, Bitcoin is never contained by one company. That is where all the governments are getting scared about it. Okay, if it is one
Yes,
company,
sir.
I can at least shut it down, or I can scare them to follow my rules. But Bitcoin is decentralized, so which means that you can't devaluate the company on currency on your own. Okay, the same way metaverse, all the systems out there is not owned by one person, it is owned by the group, and it is driven by the technology. So the tampering of the system is very less. Okay, for example, you might have heard about data leaks, right? Like, so all the data leaks, like, Facebook leaked this one, or you got GitHub accounts this much floating in the stuff. So those kind of data leaks are can be avoided. It's not like it will be avoided, because however smart you design, there will be always a smarter way to figure it out. Okay, but to the max, it is driven by technology, and it is distributed. Since it is distributed, the security is built inherently. So it is not building and adding security, the security is naturally built in, and obviously it will enhance over a period of time as well. So that way, it gives you the security prospect, which is like a identity theft. Like, you don't have the identity theft, how it happens in the natural world. For example, your credit card might be theft, or your credit card virtual data might be theft and used by someone else, or your mail ID can be spoofed and then used by someone else. So those kind of thefts can be avoided, which means that your identity is much safer. It is not 100% safer. Again, I'm saying it is much safer than in the current world. Okay, and also it is not controlled by one person. These are the two factors which makes the metaverse better compared to anything else.
Yes, sir. So, sir, moving ahead, how are the metaverse and blockchain related? Like, can we build a metaverse without any blockchain technology?
You can build it. So if you build a metaverse without a blockchain, typically it could be it is controlled by okay, so I'll try to simplify it, why blockchain is needed. So
Yes,
blockchain
sir.
is nothing but your data store. Okay, in the crypto world. So when I say data store, so if I give something to some 10 rupees to Prashant, okay,
Yes,
that
sir.
is recorded in the blockchain. which is nothing but a ledger. Ledger means your bank books, you have it, right? The bank passbook. So this money is transacted from here to here. So those details, your passbook is nothing but your blockchain. Okay, your passbook is
Yes,
stored
sir.
in blockchain. Okay, all the transactions, all the activities is recorded there. So that is blockchain, and that blockchain is the basics. And the blockchain is not owned by one company or one person. It is a distributed thing, and for every activity, you have to get consensus. The consensus mechanism might be differ. Okay, depending on proof of stake or proof of all different mechanisms are there. Okay, so first part is blockchain is nothing but storage of your data. So in old school, how do you store data? You store in files, you store in Excel,
Yes, sir.
you store in database. Okay, like Oracle,
Yes, sir.
MySQL, or any database. The bad part or the unfortunate part is this can be manipulated. For example, if I store in a file, somebody can open with the password, if assuming if they know the password, and then they can manipulate this stuff. If I store in Excel, obviously there also people can manipulate. If I store in database, yes, it is not manipulated, it cannot be manipulated easily, but it is controlled by one company. Okay, which is like, for example, in this case, so our, if I have a Twitter account, all the data related to my tweets are stored with the Twitter. Okay, if I have an Instagram account, all my activities are stored in the Facebook's database. So my data is controlled or managed by one company. So instead of managing in one company, we store it in blockchain, which can be distributed and saved. Okay, for example, tomorrow
Yes, sir.
you from your home you can run a system, and you can say that, hey, I can be a storage engine for this, or I can be a compute engine for this. For that, pay me. Okay, so whenever I do it, pay me some coins. So the coin could be any type of cryptocurrency. So you'll get that. So the database is distributed across the people. Okay, that is what the ultimate purpose of a blockchain. Okay, so now
Yes, sir.
this idea is used in Bitcoin. So the idea is very simple: distributed data storage. So the distributed data storage is there, that's why Bitcoin is using it. So because of that, the company cannot go on arrest one person. For example, let's say if they want to let's say the Bitcoin is done by one bank, let's say some IGC bank, some bank, random bank. And if the company wants to if the government wants to shut down that, if it is a China or Russia or India or US, what they'll do, they'll go and arrest the CEO, seize the products, whatever they have it, the data stores, and they can shut down the company. Okay, in blockchain, it is not owned by one person. Okay, it is owned by a lot of people throughout the different countries. Okay, any individual can be come in with anonymity or without anonymity, so that's a different problem. So they one country cannot go and arrest all the people throughout the world. There might be 100,000 people who storing the data. You can't go and arrest 100,000 people. So what it means is, like, it is always untouchable from a regulatory perspective to a certain extent. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
now you have got the data and it is distributed. So this idea people started using for Metaverse as well. In Metaverse also built on top of this one blockchain. So it is not owned by one company, it is owned by multiple people, and the decision can be made by multiple people also. So that is the idea of Metaverse, why the Metaverse and blockchain are go in hand together.
Yes, sir. So, sir, how will the metaverse reframe the human-centered experiences?
So it will not change the human centered behavior, but as you asked, like in the experience wise, we might be hooked much more into the laptops or the gadgets which we have it could be any type of gadgets. So as of now, whatever we can see or imagine is the virtual VR glasses. Okay, so that is a
Yes,
max
sir.
which we have it. So what if it could be like even a holographic image. Okay, so for example, tomorrow instead of our laptops have camera, right? So instead of camera, if it is a holographic projector. Okay, so if I want to talk to my girlfriend, she can project her image in my laptop and I can talk to her easily. Okay, so that gives a virtual experience which is better than a 2D experience. Okay, it will not give the feel of
Yes,
touch
sir.
or other things. So your experience towards eyes and ears is better. So you will have that kind of better 3D feel with them. And if there is a mechanism, if it can give a touch experience or a sense as it can directly hit it, that is a different game altogether. As of now, it is more into sci-fi movies. It is not really down there. For example, people say like you can, instead of headphone, you can have a direct what is it, brain interface, where your sensors are directly fed by it. For example, so when, let's say, I'll take a crude example. Let's say if I kiss someone, okay, some chemicals are generated, and that is what we feel it. Okay, what if I can trigger the feel from here directly? Like if you are
Yes,
familiar
sir.
with the Matrix movie, okay, so the Matrix first part, so which is nothing but your feelings are electrical signals or the chemical signals. If I can generate the chemical signals, you will feel that as if you are really with that person. Okay, whether you are there physically there or not, but you can feel it. So that level it can go on. But as of now, the first level is the virtual world gives the more good experience for the eyes and the ears. Okay, that is the first level. It is there, it is already there. Now it'll the only challenge right now is how to make it much more seamless. Okay, what I mean by seamless is like phones were there for the past 15 years. Okay, but it became popular when the smartphone came in, because the touch was pretty simpler. So even my grandma can touch it and use it, whereas in the old phone it is harder for it. So it made the experience seamless. If you can make the experience seamless even in the virtual world, so that is where it goes to the next level of experience for the students, sorry, for the users. So that is what it is.
Yes, sir. So, sir, talking on your point about the AR and VR, what is the role of AR and VR in the metaverse?
Okay, so as of now, they are the basics for it. Okay, AR and VR are the basics as of now. So when I say projection, it is nothing but AR. Okay, I didn't use the word, but that is what AR is about. So if you can project it like so if you can take the mobile and see someone through the mobile camera, you will feel that something is there. Okay, or someone is there. So that is the AR experience. You have augment reality enabled system, which is your phone, and when you use it, you will feel that it is there. Okay, like if you are playing with that Pokemon game, so I play with my son. So wherever we go there, I project it, and the Pokemon would be there. I throw the ball and I'll catch it. Okay, that is the AR experience, and that is already there. And VR is, everybody knows with the VR one. I don't need to explain it, like the virtual Google goggles and other things. So these
Yes, sir.
two are the basics for it. So these two technologies enables you to feel more about the metaverse. Okay, as of now, metaverse is more of a 2D system. So take any metaverse. As of now, it is very rudimentary and 2D system. And these technologies, when it becomes seamless, or when the gadgets which can enable this technology better comes in, then it will be way better. So in terms of consumption, AR VR are the basics for it. How I said, for the creation, blockchain is the key. For consumption, these two are the keys.
Yes, sir. So, sir, moving ahead with one or two questions more.
Mhm.
What are the complexities and the challenges of a new reality?
Okay, so one of the complexities, like first one is to understand how the next generation is going to use it. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
typically the current generation is always worried or scared about the next generation's future.
Yes,
For
sir.
example, so when these social media platform came in, so everybody was worried about photo sharing. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
how my photos are misused, so how my things
Yes,
are
sir.
misused. Now nobody cares about it, because every kid knows how to control his photo sharing, all those things, or whom to do it, or it became a common thing. So it is not like scary stuff. Okay, so like that, when it goes to the metaverse also, the current generation, you and me, will be scared or will be worried about how the future generation is getting spoiled, because they are hooked up to the systems. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
that would be the first challenge when it comes to the parents or the adults, to understand the next generation of system. And when it comes to the technology part, so the technology part right now, it is kind of pretty complex. Okay, where it is not simplified, or it is not abstracted to the great level. Okay, because uh, uh, I would compare that to, like, for example, if you are familiar with assembly level coding. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you have move, jump, all those instruction would be there. Okay. If I go and talk to any current generation programmer, they don't care about it. Okay, because Python has abstracted everything. Okay, even for example, array index out of bound is abstracted in Python. Okay, in the modern
Yes,
programming world. Okay, so this abstraction will come in. So it will take some time to get the abstracted level. Okay, right now we are in the rudimentary level of metaverse. Okay, where we are in the assembly level programming kind of it. We want to move to the high level programming, which we'll have more tools towards. So as of now, people are not able to understand it. For example, if I go and talk about NFT to my friends, they said, okay, NFT is nothing but JPEG. What is there in that? So for them, and NFT is considered as a JPEG. That's all. Okay.
yes,
So
sir.
they don't understand why the NFT or why the JPEG is protected and what is the impact for it, how it can be connected to it. For example, the board apes. If you are familiar with the word board apes, okay, so it is nothing but a collection of apes, ape figures. Okay, apes. Okay, so it started like a small hobby project. Now it has grown to a bigger one, and people who is having the ape figures will have a exclusive entry to certain levels, certain clubs, physical clubs. So it is like your tattoo. So in old school, if you are part of some gang, okay, you might have the tattoos, right? So the NFTs are becoming a tattoos for it. Okay, so this understanding or abstraction of these things will be new for the current generation. You and me, we may or may not understand fully. Okay, but the next generation will have a much better understanding of the same technology. This is the second part of it, and third part of it is like a tweaking of the technology. For example, one of the challenges with the NFT is like I saw. So the NFT is ultimately a URL. Okay, if I go and manipulate the URL at the end, so NFT can be changed. That is one of the hackers have proved it. Okay, so how to make
Yes,
it better? So these three activities will take at least year or so to stabilize. One is our understanding. Second one is abstraction. Third one is security. So right now all three are in the rudimentary phase. So when these go to the next level, it will become a common thing. So it will be like you are getting your smartphone. So right now we are having a feature phone with a button phone. Metaverse is like with a button phone. So only and the incoming call and outgoing call is charged, which means that everything is costly in metaverse. So over a period of time, all the metaverse would be interlinked. Okay, right now there are different metaverses. Individual companies are doing it. So that will be interlinked. So once it is interlinked, it will become a common person's thing. Till that, it will be kind of a geek word.
yes, sir. So, sir, any last advice for the tech-savvy youth of India?
Okay, so for the tech savvy use, I said right, system 1, system 2, system 3. So you can fall into anything. Don't go into system 3 as of now, or go into system 3 and practice little bit on metaverse. I'll show small things. Share a screen and oh shit. One second, I'm trying to sign up for this one.
Yes, sir.
So this is one of the popular metaverse. Okay, this is called Decentraland. So as a first step, go and play around with this. It might look like a funny thing or like a childish thing at the
Yes, sir.
first stage, but you need to go and consume this. First, be a consumer. Okay, this is one example. Another example would be, okay, one second. So the second would be like Decentraland. Yeah. So this is Sandbox. So there are two popular metaverse, at least I would recommend. One is Decentraland. This name is DE Central Land. Decentraland. Second one is Sandbox. SAND Sandbox. Okay, go and search for it. So
Yes,
first
sir.
go and understand this as a consumer. This is a system third category. Okay, as of now, I'm going to consume it. I'm not going to create it. I'm not going to build it. Those two things I'm not going to do it. So first, play around with this so that you will understand the familiarity with it. Not only this, go and create a NFT in the OpenSea or any other NFT platforms. So go and create it and sell your NFT or play around with your NFT. This is the step number one. So spend at least 1 month or 15 days around it. So first step you will get it. Second one is, can I? So if you are a programmer, I'll say in the second stage I'll split in two parts. One is a programming geek, another one is a non-programmer. If you are a programmer, try to understand the programming world of it. For example, there is a programming language called Solidity. Okay, not only Solidity, there are a lot more thing options are available. Try to learn those things. So that will help you to get into the blockchain world. Okay, understand a little bit about the blockchain and other things. So the reason why I said Solidity is it is more popular. That's all. So I'm not favoring Solidity versus other things. So Solidity is one good thing which you can start with. That is the second one if you are a programmer. If you are a non-programmer, if you are a non-programmer, create an NFT. Okay, so all the stuffs are ready made, like all the things are available in YouTube. You can go and check it and create a NFT and sell a NFT. This is one step, like a system two and system one. Okay, system one would be like a geek or the programmer. System two is a creator. So if you are from a non-computer science background, like mechanical or electrical, I'm not stopping you from going into the programming world. Again, I'm making it clear. This is as a first step you can start doing it. So you create something and sell a NFT. And also, by the way, you can go and create something in this one. For example, you can create in Sandbox as well. So make a gamer, how to do it. You can build games for Metaverse. So all those things would be guided. You can join Discord channels for the particular thing. So if you join the Discord channel, it will be much more useful. Not only this, if you are very childish, Roblox would be there. So go and learn, create games in Roblox. Okay, so these are some of the things which you can practice. So one is first 15 to 20 days consume it. Second one is be a creator or a coder. That is a step two. So once you are able to do that, then I don't need to do it. You will start guiding me. Okay, because always the next generation is smarter than the current generation, no matter what it
Yes.
is. Okay, so these are the two steps which you can get it started and then move ahead in the life, in the metaverse life.
Sure, sir. So thank you so much, sir, for your precious time to us and helping us to learn more about the metaverse world. And the session was really insightful. And we are looking forward to host you again sometime.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks a
sir.
lot, Prashant. Yeah. Bye.
So thank you everyone who joined us today and made time from your busy schedule and also participated in design development designathon. Unfortunately, due to high amount of submissions, we are taking much more time for the review, and we can't be able to announce winner today. So you will be getting the winners list on 25th of March by 8 p.m. So sorry for this late, but due to the high amount of submissions, we are reviewing the submissions currently, and like you will be getting surely the results by 25th of March. So thank you again everyone for joining Design Development Day, supporting Designer and trusting in us. And because of you only, this Design Development Day was a success. And we will happy to see you again in the upcoming events of Designer. We will be taking many more initiatives like this to help design and the design and the development domain too. And like our main motive is to help designers. So stay connected with Designer and also join our designer like Discord channel to support the community and uh, to engage and to learn more about the things. So thank you so much for joining the design development days. Thank you.